All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the More Than a Side Hustle podcast, where we help 9-to-5ers create more impact, income, and influence outside their jobs. My name is Anthony.
And I'm Janoka, and thank you for coming back for another week of listening to More Than a Side Hustle podcast. Please be sure you are rating us and leaving us a 5-star review. For him, his first hire, he said it was a CFO, I think, right? First hire should be an accountant or CFO. He lost a lot of money not counting your dollars. So I think most people get an accountant, and he hired a CFO. So they were asking him, which is a chief financial officer. So they're asking him, like, why did you do that versus getting an accountant? I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but I think he was just speaking about basically paying closer attention to his money. Like, I don't need, like, an accountant, okay, can do the bookkeeping and stuff like that, but I need all my money. I need to have tabs on it. I need to get like a daily update on it. I need to know what is happening with my money. Like, you just looking overview at the end of the month ain't gonna cut it for me. Which is, listen, I understand that, especially in our community. A lot of times we get money that we've never had before and we lose it very quickly. So I totally get that side of it. It was a different perspective, definitely.
Yeah, so that was a big one. Just having someone account your money. If you can't get a CFO, definitely have an accountant. And last but not least, business is a marathon, not a sprint. So he talked about running the New York City Marathon, and he relates that to just running a business. He was like, I didn't quit. I didn't give up. He said it was hard.
He also didn't train.
He also didn't train. He jumped in and did it, but he also didn't train. But he realized that, listen, I can't quit this.
Yeah.
People are looking at me. People are relying on me. I can't quit this. I got to do it. And he ended up finishing the marathon.
Yeah. He said that he relates it to in the fact that, like, mile, I don't remember, 9 or so, he started to hit roadblocks, which is what happens in the business. But he's like, I can't stop here. I got to get it done. And I don't know how long it took, but eventually he got it done.
You want to? All right, so we're going to go to the next one. We're gonna skip around a little bit. You want to talk about franchise?
We don't have to go into details about that, but we did listen to a panel about franchising and what that looks like. Listen, we've had a lot of success ourselves, and just also people following our formula and having success as well. So we just wanted to hear what that would look like to franchise at some point for people in the cleaning business. Some people that don't want to do the nitty-gritty of getting up and running from the top. They just want to jump into it. So we listened to a panel about that. It was some good information, and they had like serial franchisers on there, which is interesting to hear about as well. So that was good. That's something that we've never really got details on. Obviously, we know what a franchise is, but it was good information, I think.
Yeah, because our students have done over $10 million. So imagine if each of them were franchisees and we were the franchisor.
We would be on stage as the billionaires.
We could get a piece of that. So that's something to think about. So where you want to go from here?
That was the end of day 2. Oh, who's that? Is that our phone ringing?
That's our room phone ringing right now.
Should that be somebody calling us?
I have no idea.
don't think anybody should be calling us, so. All right, let's see.
Nope, they stopped. All right, well, let's keep it pushing.
We'll keep moving. That was weird. I thought it was a camera. I'm like, wait a minute. So that was, what, day 2? Day 1? Whatever. Another day down. That was Saturday down. Moving on to the last and final day of Investfest. So I wanted to make sure that we were there because the name of the panel was Women in Business. And so they had, Ronnie Brown was hosting it. Tabitha Brown was there. I think everybody knows Tabitha. Then somebody named Nicole Nelly, I follow her. She does, she has a boutique. And I don't remember who the other woman, Kyrie Irvin's mother was the other woman. Throughout the conversation, I didn't realize it was his mother until somebody said, I'm like, wait, that's his mother and also his manager apparently. And I felt like that conversation was really phenomenal. Ronnie did an amazing job just navigating, asking, the different questions and stuff like that. So I got my own notes. You got your own notes. We'll see we'll go back and forth on that. Sure. This is the only one I took notes on.
This is the only panel she took notes on, so I'll let her rock.
But I was involved in the other ones. I just didn't take any notes. So let's see. One thing that was said, and I don't remember exactly who said this, but personal branding can take you far and in the long haul. So I think Ronnie had asked one of them if they feel like they would not do a personal brand. They're like, because of my personal brand, I'm able to go further And I know that's a conversation that we have had, like a faceless brand. Would you ever do it again without that? And I agree with that completely. People connect with you and you stand out because of who you are. People want to know more because of who you are. Portia Williams from Housewives is able to sell sheets because of her branding. Like,
she don't know nothing
she
about
don't know nothing about sheets. And I don't correlate her to sheets at all. Like, what are we talking about here? However, she has pampered Portia sheets. Whatever the name of this thing is called, she has it, right? So people are able to put things out because of their brand. All these celebrities are able to put out makeup products, makeup lines because of who they are and their personality. We have Alex Earl, we have Monet McMichael. Those are TikTokers. They have a huge brand. So I completely agree that your personal branding can take you very far. Even if, so say for example, we don't want to do Clean the Business University anymore. Because of our branding and the people that we've had with us, we can switch to something else that makes sense. And I'm confident that people will follow as well, as long as it makes sense. So personal branding is very important if you're building a business. We go back and forth. That would be good.
Yeah. So Tabitha was talking about building her personal brand when I think the pandemic hit and she got either fired from her job or something like that.
Before or something. She's always been an actress.
She's always been an actress, but she was in between work and long story short, she started going live every day at 5 p.m. just cooking in the kitchen. And she realized that she treated that as if it was a job, right? She's like, I'm building this content. I'm building this brand. I'm treating it as if it is a job after my 9 to 5. So she's coming home from work at 5 o'clock. Now she's going live at 5 o'clock every single day. Her husband expected it. Family expected it. So she was treating building her personal brand as if it was a job. So think about that. We talked about personal branding on the last episode of the podcast too.
Yeah, and I'm going to spend some more time on Tabitha because she was just saying that, like, they were asking, like, well, all you have going on, like, how do you manage it? And she just was like, everything ties back to who I am. Like, she's like, people see my products in Target and they're like, they knew it was my clothing because of the colors or the picture that she has there, or because she has kitchen products, different things. Like, I know it belongs to Tabitha because of that. And when she said that she has a seasoning with McCormick when they hit her up, and she's like, it only can work if you don't do salt, because I'm big on, when I cook, I don't use salt. So just staying true to who she is and everything ties back to her. She's like, Target did what they've never done before. 4 different drops at limited times, and now it's going to be evergreen next year. So she had the seasoning, she had the clothing, she also had the kitchen products, and then she has food. She actually has food, like spinach dip and pretzels and different things, all in Target, never done before. But this black woman came in and crushed it. So it was good to hear from her. I don't know anybody that doesn't like Tabitha. She's very positive and wholesome when you just see her stuff on Instagram. So to see her in person and be that same person was really amazing.
Yeah, she was really the person you would hope everyone's the same way they are in person. And we got to meet a lot of people who follow us, a lot of people who, we didn't even talk about that.
We can talk about that then.
Yeah, we'll talk about that then. But we met a lot of people, but she was a person that felt like the same person that you see on social media.
Yeah,
same
absolutely.
person you see on TV and movies, etc. Same exact person.
She also said some gems, as I think what we as people talk about this all the time. What he has for me is for me. In regards to God. And she was saying that statement came when she said the use of no is power. Because they said, like, has there been opportunities that you've turned down that you're like, because they didn't align with you? She was like, there's more than I can count. But she's like, but the use of no is power, because if they really want to work with me, they come back and say, okay, we've made these changes. Now can we work together? So that was, I know, especially when you're getting your first client for business, when you're starting to sell, you sold your first product or anything, when you're doing branding and stuff like that, you're working with these businesses, you want to say yes to everything because it's so new. But she was like, the use of no is so powerful, and that has taken me further as well. And what he has for me is for me, God, by the way, which I totally agree. It's going to work itself out, whatever it is. You don't got to fight, or you don't got to try to take it from someone else, because what belongs to you will be for you. So.
I remember when we've lost business in terms of like clients, or we had cancellations or negative reviews, or we lost like IG lives didn't save and stuff like that. It's funny how that works, because something else comes in and it always replaces that. Let's say we lost a client. another one came in to replace it. Let's say we got a bad star, 1-star review or 3-star review, 2 5-star reviews come in right after it, or IG Live didn't save. All right, we got a few more sales that came in. So it always happens when it's supposed to happen. So I agree with you there, and Tabitha as well. Like whatever is for you will happen.
I got something else that she
Go
had, or do you have something else with Tabitha? Okay. The last thing that I had down was they asked her, how it felt to be in Target and just be like where she is. I mean, she has all these things. She has a kids show. She has tons of things. She's acting in different places, which is what she always wanted to do. And she said things feel normal and how it's supposed to be. And I think that that's important and pivotal, especially for Black women. Sometimes you feel like you're in spaces that you shouldn't be, or I should just feel lucky to be here. But the fact that she said things feel normal and how it should be is amazing, because you do belong wherever you're at. You are in the right place at the right time. You did put in the work to be here, so it shouldn't feel like, oh no, it shouldn't feel off. It should feel like this is where I belong. I'm standing 10 toes down on this and it feels great. So that was my few takeaways from her.
Yeah, and they talked about balancing motherhood, business, family, and the biggest thing they said was like, there's no balance. Every other day is a different challenge. How do you feel about that?
That's what Kyrie Irving's mother said, which is something that you say. You say that there's no balance because people do ask us, like, how do we balance it all? And she's like, yeah, every day I get up, it's just a different challenge. I don't disagree. There's some days that the business may be going crazy and things are going smoothly with Alani, and other days it's like, is she okay? What's happening with her today? Like, she's cranky. So I don't disagree with that. And something else that Kyrie Irving's mother had said, which we don't know her name, I apologize.
Let me Google it. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's find her name. Was that she was like, read all your contracts and then have your lawyers read it and then you read it again. And maybe you're in a place that you're not looking at contracts, but some of us are when it comes to business, and we should be reading them, having the lawyer look at it and look back at it. I think even as somebody at her level saying that was important to hear, because sometimes we feel like we hire lawyers, they'll do that. But she's like, no, I want you to break this down to me as if I'm in 2nd grade and I don't know what the hell this means. Tell me what this means, because sometimes contracts just has a lot of stuff in it, you don't really get it. So that was important, an important message. Got her name?
Yeah, Shatila.
Yeah, that was the name. Something.
Oh, she go by Riley because that first name, she got a name on her. She got a name on her. I get it.
I was to say it wasn't Riley.
Yeah.
Okay, it was something with an S. Okay.
Yeah, she got a name on her. I get it.
You're crazy. Anything else you have from the women's panel?
No, it was just really dope. I think you nailed everything. While she has no following too.
I have something else. That was her, right?
Yeah. She has no following. It's funny.
Are you on the right page? You may not be on her right Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Because that person had 300 followers.
Yeah.
That's not the right.
I just Googled it. My bad, y'all.
So Nicole Nelly, like I said, she owns a boutique. I don't know how I first learned about her, but either way, she's in Nordstrom. She has a deal with American Girl, which is the doll, if you don't know. But she said a statement of, if you're starting over, you're not starting from scratch, you're starting over from experience. The
second stepmother, yeah.
She's a stepmother. Okay. And I thought that was important because a lot of times we're like, I scrapped this 2016. Now I'm coming back 2023. I'm starting over. In a sense, yes, but you have that experience from someone that's never experienced this before. So your experience a lot of times gets you further than, experience is everything. So I think that was an important statement. And the only time you know that it's over is if you stop, was another thing that she said.
You can't lose if you don't quit.
Right. The only time you know it's over is if you stop. So it all lies on you. Get ish done. Nobody's coming to save you. All these things that these different people are saying in different ways all ties back to, like, what are you going to do? How are you going to get it done?
Yeah.
So that was my experience with the girlies, girl. Like, that's what I wrote down. I didn't write anything else down throughout the whole time. I just was agreeing. So back to you.
All right. So we're going to skip the future of investing. That was Ian
Dunlap with
Ian Dunlap, Kathy Woods. we're going to skip that one. They was talking very high level investing. It was
I don't even know.
Yeah, it was over my head. They're talking about the future of investing, the AI bubble. One thing I did take away was they asked, one of the questions was, is AI in a bubble right now? A bubble meaning is at the very top and it's going to pop. So meaning like everybody that's talking about AI right now. So usually when a bubble happens, there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of accumulation of the word. It comes up a lot. It starts being Googled a lot more. So a bubble you could think about was in 89 to 90, like computers,
2K,
internet.
Y2K?
Yeah, Y2K. So would Y2K be a bubble? No, because computers didn't just happen then. And they spoke about the way it works is that when everybody and their mother's talking about it, that's when things are exciting or you should be scared. It's usually in a bubble. But a bubble could last up to 10 years. So that was like the only thing. And one of the other things was just only risk which you could stomach to lose. So they were just talking about very high level concepts, and I don't think you
don't have nothing else to say.
I don't got nothing to go through that with.
Who else do we have here?
So we got Steve and Robert. I'm saying Robert like it's my guy. Steve Harvey and Robert Smith.
So Steve Harvey,
black man in America.
And that conversation was so good. That was probably my favorite conversation of the weekend. Steve Harvey, as you know, he's been doing this for a while, so he just has his comedy going, and they are actually friends. So I think that made the conversation flow even better. That was my first time in person. Yeah, first time in person here. Well, probably all of these people actually. But kick off some of the things that they were talking
y'all ready?
about. That might be a separate episode now I think about it. But it was a really good episode. I mean, a really good conversation. Sorry.
So he started off in his bag. My man Rob. Actually, he an Alpha too. Alpha Phi Alpha, Cornell University, Alpha Chapter, A5. You already know. He started off by Steve asked him like, "Why did you want to become a billionaire?" He's like, "I never wanted to become a billionaire." He's like, I had to make a decision to change my family's life. Because his family was like, why would you leave a good job?
Because he was at Goldman Sachs. I think his grandfather told him.
Look at you paying attention.
I remember that. I told you it was a good conversation.
And his family was like, why would you leave a good job? And he was like, because there's a better job, there's a better opportunity out there for me. And nobody understood it until I started building what I was building. But he had to make a decision to realize that I can't listen to my mother, I can't listen to my father, I can't listen to my grandfather, I can't listen to nobody. I got to be able to stand firm on the decision that I'm making to change my family's life. Because if I don't, I'm going to be working his job. And he was even saying that Goldman Sachs was, one of the things at Goldman Sachs, he was saying, his boss was even saying like, yo, you got a lot of potential, but you'll go a lot further by not being here. Yeah. And he listened to his boss and he did his own thing. There's more to it, but he did his own thing. He's like, what you see in your head, that's what Steve said. What you see in your head, don't expect nobody else to see.
Oh, Steve did say that. Yep. And that just remind me of like you, really. Not many of you, because your brain be going crazy. I always say you write it down, but you have a big vision, dream, imagination of what things can look like and what things could be. And I don't be seeing it. Not that I don't believe it, but I just don't see it in that way. But he was bringing up a point like, yeah, you have to go against the grain for people because people ain't going, if they've never done it, they've never heard of anybody doing it around them, it's going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Do your own thing. Or, yeah, all right, I'll see you having a cleaning business. Sure, that'll be good. You know, whatever it is, people are, not that they don't want to support you, but if they've never experienced it, they don't believe it.
When I say Steve was in his bag, he said, you can't force your family and friends, friends, and peers not understanding where you want to go because they haven't been there. How are they going to understand that you want to go to Panama if they've never left Brooklyn, New York? How are they going to understand that you want to go to Paris, France if they've never been there? How are they going to understand that you want to build a multi-million-dollar business if they've never done it? So he was in his bag when he said that, and that was just like, we sit here, we're trying to convince friends and family. People, like, I was on IG Live the other day, and they was like, oh, should I wait for my friend to join me in this business? And I'm like, you have the vision. If you have the vision to start this business.
So you about to say B, if you have the B's.
If you have the B's.
I'm not going to the curse words. If
you have the vision to start this business, why would you wait for somebody else and try to drag them along? If they don't understand your vision, they're just going to hold you back when things get tough. So don't wait for your friends and family to understand where you want to go because they've never been there.
I also don't want you to be in your bag because if you wake up Alani, this podcast is over.
Cool. So another thing he said was, until you run your own business, you will never be free. The person who takes the most risk has the most to gain and also the most to lose.
So I'm laughing at his notes. He wrote bars next to some of his notes.
She's reading my notepad.
The person who takes the most risk has the most to gain.
If you guys aren't watching this on YouTube, she's literally reading my notepad.
Anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, so
until you run your own business, you'll never be free.
So if you have, and
because we go back and forth on this, like don't feel like everybody should own a business.
So free is relative. So there's a level of freedom.
Okay.
But there's a level of freedom that you have. There's a level of ceiling that you have. We just spoke about the level of ceiling that you have if you don't, if you work for somebody else. Now, even if you own your business, you work for your clients. But still, you could pay yourself as much as you want. You could pay your teams as much as you want. You could pay your family, your friends, your spouse, whoever it is, as much as you want because you own the thing. So even when I worked at my job, like there was, is it called nepotism? Nepotism, like when you hire your family.
Bring it in-house if you ask me.
Huh?
You bringing it in-house if you ask me.
Yeah, so like my CEO and his partners could bring their family and friends, which they did, into the company with no problem. Like, oh, we're gonna give them a job. Like you can't do that if you do not own the thing. I brought my best friend in, but he had to be qualified.
Yeah.
I had to recommend him. My boss had to recommend him. He had to interview. He had to show up every day. He had to show up and show out. He couldn't just BS on the job. So if you own the thing, if you own the business, this is how you create freedom for not only yourself, but your family, your friends, your future. So I see what he says there. But again, everybody shouldn't own a business. But
we understand, but still, like, nobody should own the business.
But I do understand, and I see it. I see the vision, and I understand.
Oh, this was a good one. So, this here said Robert was talking about this leveraging your money based on your ability to pay things back. That's the key word there. So everything, I mean, a lot of things on social media talks about leveraging money. Don't use your money. Use credit. Blah blah blah. But can you pay it back? Because that's what he was saying. He was like, yeah, I leveraged paying $1 billion, and then I had to pay back the $1 billion, and I made $2 billion, so I paid it back.
That billion with a B.
With a B. So he was talking about leveraging his money at his level, but just in general, we hear people talk about leveraging money, which is okay, but can you pay it back is important, and we've had those discussions as well when we speak to financial advisors and stuff, and they're like, well, you can leverage this card, you can leverage that, but it's like, okay, you're about to leverage $60,000. Can you pay that $60,000 back, and when? Because it shouldn't be 5-6 years, right? So that's important. Leveraging your money based on the ability to pay it back, or knowing that you're going to pay it back in a timely manner, I think it's important.
When you talk about leveraging money, you talk about creating billions. He compared it to like buying a house. So he's like, I'm going to buy an asset for $1 billion. You're going to buy a house for $100,000. And he's like, this is apples. It's not apples to apples, but it's like a 1-to-1 ratio. $1 billion, $100,000 to make you understand. He's like, when you buy a house, whatever you're going to do, you're going to live in the house, you're going to fix it up. In a few years, 3 to 5 years, it's going to be worth $300,000, $400,000. Now you got about, let's say you pay off that loan, you got about $300,000, $400,000 worth of equity in that home, right? So you got $300,000, $400,000, you leverage that, now that could be cash to buy another home. He says, when I buy a business or I leverage, credit, I'm a $1 billion business, 3-4 years it's not going to be worth 3-4 billion, it's going to be worth maybe $2.5 billion. And that spread, that $1.5 billion is how much I made. I pay back my debt of the $1 billion, right? I made $500 million, whatever it is. So he was able to say that it's all, like going back to Diddy said, it's all different, it's all levels to this, right? We make money at the $100,000 at the $1 million level, and they're making money at the $1 billion level. It's all the same game. It's just at a higher level, higher frequency. And the biggest thing that he mentioned was just being able to pay it back. Yeah. So don't just borrow $100,000.
That's the takeaway. That is the big takeaway.
It's like, don't borrow $100,000. And the people Steve asked him, like, all right, I got $100,000, got $300,000 home equity in my home. So what do I do with it? He's like, do you have anything to do with it? He's like, what are you gonna do with it? He's like, you're asking me what should I do, but you should already have a plan before you take that money out.
Yeah.
Or you're sitting on a line of credit that's going to, or a line of debt that's gonna be paid back, and you have no plan for it.
None.
So he's like, I would not tell you to leverage that equity in that home because you have no business, you have no assets, you have nothing that you want to start.
Let's see. Then he spoke about leveraging your job, maxing out your 401k, because essentially like free money. If your job gives you a percentage, if you're contributing a certain amount, make sure you're doing that.
Because people, he was like, all right, Steve was like, all right, we ain't gonna talk about the $1 billion level, we're gonna talk the business level. What if I just have a job? He's like, all right, make sure you're doing the basics. Make sure you have a savings plan. Make sure you have some emergency fund. Make sure you're, like you said, maxing out your 401k so that you could get that match, whether it's 6%. That's free money. So there are things that you could do to prepare yourself to get to that next level. But if you're not taking those basic steps here, you're not gonna be able to take it at the $100,000 level or the $100 million level or the $1 billion level.
Yeah.
I spoke about that. Starting a business outside your job is the best use of capital in yourself. And I was just say the magic of thinking big.
Was that a book?
Yeah.
I feel like that was a book. Steve Harvey recommended it? Or
Steve Harvey. So Steve Harvey recommended the magic of thinking big.
I think he said it helped him to change his mindset, and I think it goes in line with us saying like do goals that are bigger than you expect, set goals that you feel is like there's no way, right? You know, there's things that you think about like that. Set those goals, and then you'll work harder for that than the one you just set that's right here. Like you want to set something here, and then maybe you'll reach here. And that's better than you thought it would be anyway. So I haven't read the book yet, but based on the title of Magic of Thinking Big, I can only assume what that's working towards.
Yeah, so that was the last thing he said. But even Steve Harvey said when he met Robert, he talked about, Steve wanted to buy a farm with some acres to have some kids to build a school.
For 100 kids.
100 kids. He's like, why not 1,000?
He's like, okay.
He said, why not?
I'll do it for
He's like,
1,000.
it's gonna take the same amount of effort to build the lot. He's like, that's the mindset shift that we have to have where it's going to take the same amount of effort to build a $100,000 house as it is going to be build $1 million house. From you, it's going to take the construction, it's going to take the
maybe
architecture.
Not the same effort because it's going to be bigger.
But it's not going to be 100 times or 100 times more effort to build that house.
Oh, okay.
Or 10 times more effort to build that house.
Yeah.
And maybe 1 or 2 times, but we're not talking about it's going to be double or triple the amount of time or effort it takes to build a house. So why not just think a little bit bigger to get to your goals a lot faster?
Yeah, they were really good. They can do a podcast together.
Yeah, they definitely could.
I don't know if Robert Smith has time for that.
And then one of the last panels of the day was Rich Paul and Junior Bridgman. Rich Paul, as you guys know, he's
Rich Paul. I liked him too. His conversation was pretty good. What was the takeaways that you had for him?
And then Junior Bridgman, he was a former NBA player, and he built wealth by buying franchises.
Yeah.
And he's worth over $600 million. But the
He
biggest
has his kids involved in it too.
So the 2 takeaways I got from them was Rich Paul said, we will get together to buy a bottle, but we won't get together to buy a business.
I would say a bottle ain't as much, but listen, it could be. If you buy bottles in the club, if you bought more than 1 or 2, it could be as much as a business.
But that goes back to collaboration because it's not just about the price of the bottle. It's about we trust ourselves to buy that bottle. I see the bottle. It's in front of me. We're going to consume it right now, and we're done.
It's done. That's true.
But he was like, we won't collaborate to come together to build a business where it's going to take more time, more finance, more money, but it could create more freedom for us. So obviously the bottle and the business are 2 different extremes, but if you get the concept and the mindset, he's just like, we won't collaborate on things. I think the question was, why don't more NBA players kind of work together? Like they're multi-millionaires.
I liked something. Okay.
And that was pretty much the conversation. Like we'll buy a bottle together in the club, but we won't buy a business.
One thing I liked about him is obviously there's a lot of agents because he's an agent, right? Would you consider him an agent?
No, he's a CEO.
He's not an agent.
He said I don't call myself
He
an agent.
changed his name. He changed his title. Remember?
Yeah.
But anyway, he is an agency. Can we say that? Mm-hmm. And the one thing I liked about him, and you know how you say, like, how do I stand out? There's tons of agencies, I'm sure. But what he does with his clients and, from Draymond Green to LeBron at one point, whatever, is like, the way he explained it at least, is really molding them the full picture, basically. He's not just like, okay, this is what you need to get this brand deal, right? It's more along the lines of, okay, like, how do you speak to people when you go out for dinner, and how do you tip people, and how do you... So I like that, at least I'm obviously not in the field of him being my agent, but I do like that he builds a full picture around his clientele as not just another number, at least. That's what, the way he explained it, at least.
Yeah.
Everything okay here?
No, you're good. Last but not least, the other quote that Junior Bridgman said was they asked about creating generational wealth for your family because he's owned dozens and dozens of franchises. He's worth $600 million. He said, you don't create generational wealth by just teaching about money. You got to start by putting them in positions within the companies for them to learn about it, and then also for them to even care about it. Like, we can't tell Alani we're going to give you a cleaning business if she doesn't even care about it. She doesn't want to see it grow. She has no interest in that, or real estate or properties, because all they're going to do is just sell your shit.
Well, what I thought about when he was saying that was kind of my family's family reunion on my mother's side. We do a family reunion every 2 years, and we go to different countries every 2 years. It's big. 80 to 100 people show up, fly into this country. But me and my cousins have always been involved in the planning part of it. When New York was hosting it or whatever, we've always been involved in the planning part. We've always voted. We've always sent suggestions, designs for t-shirts, all these other things that go into it when it comes to the reunion. So now that, you know, our parents are getting older and we're obviously older, we basically run that part of it in the meetings and stuff like that. So I agree. I'm like, if we weren't there in the meetings when we were younger, we'd be like, all right, what? Like, this has nothing to do with us. But now it's kind of like, well, if we don't do it, it ain't gonna happen. It's gonna fall off. So we want to make sure that we do it. So I agree with getting them involved in whatever it looks like that you get your children involved.
Yeah. And last, they closed out with Jeezy performing. And one thing he said was...
He spoke first, so this is important.
I got no notes.
Because he changed his name.
He said, if you came here and got all this knowledge and you don't believe it was possible, you wasted your damn time and money. If you get all this information,
that's a good sign off, yeah.
If you get all this information and you don't believe it's possible for yourself, you're wasting your time right now by watching us, and you're wasting your money by not investing in yourself and getting to that next level. So
yeah, I agree.
That was pretty much the entire conference. It wasn't just a festival; it was a conference.
Yeah,
it was businessing, it was networking, and everything. And
so that was everyone speaking, and I know that this has been a longer podcast than we've done in a really long time. So if you stuck around to the end, thank you. But we did want to just also say thank you to the people that came up to us and just told us that they follow us or they started a cleaning business because of us.
That's
or
huge.
They had coaching from us before, or this one lady recognized us from our voice. She was walking in front of us and we were talking, thankfully about nothing crazy. We were talking and she was like, I know those voices. And we're like, you do? She's like, yeah, the Harchimonies. And we're like, that's amazing.
Shout out to you if you're watching this.
Yes. So we do just want to thank everyone, and it was great to connect and touch and just be around your community. And thank you for not being shy to say like, oh, I follow you, or I started my business. And so many of you had said like, some people came up was like, you know, my friend started a business because of you, and she probably won't tell you, but this is what's happening with her life. So just saying thank you again to everyone that decided to stop us, have conversations with us, and hopefully we can continue to network and grow and share more and keep doing this thing called podcasting and sharing content.
Yeah, and it's the space of content creation is just so vast, but I think that there is a huge space for people just to share their story, and that's what we're doing here. So yes, we create content, but we're impacting lives. We've seen it, we've heard it in person. We got videos of multiple six-figure students this past weekend. So shout out to you guys. We appreciate you guys, and thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. Anything else you want to share?
No, of the More Than a Side Hustle podcast. We like this casual thing. What do you think? Hopefully sound and video is perfect.
Listen, we hope.
We've done an hour plus of conversation, so y'all leave it here with something. Done is better than perfect, okay? Done is better than perfect. But yeah, once again, thank you. Tap in with us again on next Tuesday for more content, and go ahead and leave us that review and subscribe.
Yes. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Bye.